Hey y'all, so it's Lauren Rosa, just leaving court and wanted to give you guys a bit of an update. I'm leaving a bit early. There's one more witness on the witness stand right now that I will not get to watch, but I did get to watch the testimonies of David James, who was a former personal assistant of Diddy's, and Regina Ventura, who is the mother of Cassie. Now I'm gonna start with the mother of Cassie's and then I'm gonna go back to David James. So this video will solely be about Regina Ventura, who is the mother of Cassie Ventura, and her testimony. It was very short, but it was effective. So Cassie's mom was called to the stand, and she was the second witness on the stand. So she was called to the stand after David James, who was a former personal assistant of Diddy's. Now, when she was called to the stand, first of all, she is a cute older lady. She's very, like, even in just her mannerisms, like Cassie has a lot of her mannerisms. She is very soft in nature. She was wearing all gray. She has a very gray hair. She's in glasses. She's in a gray poncho. So she takes the stand, and the prosecution is questioning her first, because of course she's their witness. So the prosecution is questioning her first, and they get her on the stand. They have her identify, of course, Sean Combs, Diddy, and ask, what do you call him? So then they instantly go into the line of questioning. So they ask her when she met Diddy. She says that she met Diddy in 2006 when Cassie was signing to Bad Boy Records. And she says that at that time when she met Diddy, it was just that, like, she just met him and knew him as, okay, my daughter is about to sign to his record label, and that was it. She says later on down the line, they began to date, and that is when their relationship went from my daughter is signing to my daughter is now in a relationship with Sean Combs. So then they skip to an incident. They is the prosecution. They skip to an incident in December of 2011. Now this is when Cassie came home for a Christmas holiday. Prior to them asking about the specific date, they asked her, you know, when Sean Combs and Cassie were together, where did they live? And she said they lived in New York. And then they asked, well, at what point did they move to LA? And she said, you know, there was some point later on in their relationship, they did move to LA. And they asked her when she moved to LA, when Cassie moved to LA, what were the, like, how often did she see Cassie during the year? And she said, you know, I would see her like twice a year. Holidays, like Cassie would come home for the holidays, the Christmas holiday. So then they go to this December 2011 date. So this December 2011 date, they mentioned that, you know, this is a time period where Cassie was home for the holiday. And they then enter or bring up a screenshot of an email. And the email is so it's from Cassie to Cassie's mom. So she's sending this email, and the email says that the email alleged that Diddy was going to release 2 explicit sex tapes of Cassie on or before Christmas, and that he also mentioned to Cassie that he hurt her and it wouldn't be by his hands, that he would actually be out of the country when this went down. Now, this email is not new to us in the court. We actually saw this email when Cassie was on the stand. They asked her about this email, and I remember when they asked Cassie about this email, they asked her why did she send this email, and she had said that she sent the email because, you know, she just wanted record of it. And now we get her mom's side of it. So her mom, the prosecution asked, how did she feel when she received the email? She said, you know, it scared her, like, threw her off. And she said what really stuck out to her and what really threw her off was the mention of the sex tapes. Like, wait, what? There's sex tapes? Her mom also made note that Kid Cudi was mentioned in this email as well. And that at the same time, or not too far from them receiving this email, Sean Combs then reached out to Cassie's mom and her dad, allegedly her mom and her mom's husband, and demanded $20,000 from them because he was mad at Cassie. And when they asked, well, what was he mad at Cassie about? Her mom alleges that he was mad about Cassie's relationship with Kid Cudi, and he had recently spent $20,000 on Cassie for some reason and was demanding the money back. Now, Cassie's mom says, so then the prosecution asked Cassie's mom, well, what did you guys do? She said, without question, we went to our bank. We filed for a home equity loan. We got the $20,000 and we paid the money. So then the prosecutors are like, well, how did you know where to send the money to? Or what were the instructions of how you sent the money, how you paid it, and who instructed you on that? And she said that Cassie's mom made it clear that or alleged that there was a bookkeeper of Diddy's, a person that worked on his books, that had sent an alleged email with payment instructions, basically wire info of how the money would be paid. They asked her, do you have proof of this email? Her mom said, no, she does not. They is the prosecution. And then she said that they sent the money. Now, she says that they sent it from their bank account over to where they were told to wire the money to. And she says 4 to 5 days later, the money was then returned to the account. And then the prosecutors asked, well, when the money was returned to your account, did you guys have any communications with Sean Combs or anything like that? And her mom said, no, they didn't. And they asked her, well, why did you guys just send the money? Like, why did you just do it? And she said, we were scared for our daughter's life, so we paid it. Now they go into, and I was wondering how this was going to play out in court, because it was tough watching Cassie have to talk through her abuse photos and these different moments of abuse that we were looking at, physical abuse that we were looking at in court. And I was wondering, because Cassie also mentioned, you know, going home for the holidays and, you know, having the conversation about her mom with her mom about being physically abused for the first time. So I've been wondering what emotionally that was going to be like when Cassie's mom got on the stand. And she didn't break down at all. She held it together. So Cassie's mom is then questioned about abuse photos. These are the same photos that we saw when Cassie was on the stand. Some of them that we saw when Cassie was on the stand. So these photos were also from December of 2011. And there are photos of Cassie. She's showing abuse photos on, it's like her back, on her leg. And Cassie has her head shaved. And Cassie's mom is asked, you know, who took these photos? And she said, I took them. I took them on a digital camera that I had. And she was like, well, why did you want to take these photos? And her mom said, we wanted to memorialize this. Now, she also says that this time when she took those photos was the first time that Cassie had ever directly had a conversation with her about the fact that she was being physically abused by Sean Combs. Cassie's mom, again, mentioned the story that Cassie had also told us while Cassie was on the stand. And she said that she had read a blind item, which is where, you know, people used to blog and talk about celebrities, but didn't mention who they were, like who the person was that was talking about them. But she said that she read a blind item before that alleged that Cassie had got beaten up in a car by Sean Combs. And she says that this was before this December 2011 incident. She says she called Cassie and she, you know, was asking Cassie like, hey, is this true? And Cassie was like, no, it's not true. That's not us. That's not me. That's not him. Didn't happen. So she just let it go. But then when Cassie came to have the conversation with her and they took these photos, they then had the honest conversation about, you know, Cassie and the things that were happening to her. Now, in April 2012, they asked Cassie's mom about an interaction with a woman that they're calling Mia in the court. And Cassie's mom is like, so they show her the photo and the prosecutor is like, okay, do you recognize the person in this photo? She's like, yes. And she's like, we want you to call her Mia for the sake of this conversation. And you could tell her mom was like, huh? Like a little thrown off. But so she's like, we want you to call her Mia for the sake of this conversation. She's like, okay. So she's like, I'm sorry, that was April 2012. She's like, do you remember any interaction with you and Mia? She said, yes, there was one time, April 2012, we were, you know, at, you know, their home, at Sean Combs' home, and Mia was in the kitchen and we were all just like laughing at something, and he got really upset. She alleges that Diddy got really upset at Mia and was upset that she was laughing and was like, yo, what you laughing at? And the way that Mia responded, she pointed out it was like she like shrunk and she just left the room. So I don't know why exactly they pointed that out, but I'm sure to come back around, because what they're doing a lot of in court as things progress is they're pointing things out and then literally like you be like, okay, why did they bring that up? And then sometime later they bring it back around and you're like, oh, okay, that's why they planted that seed. So then they go into August 2012, which would have been Cassie's 30th birthday month. And Cassie's mom says that her and her husband flew into LA and there was an incident that went down. She alleges Diddy took Cassie's phone at this point. And Cassie went through this incident as well, or incidents like this, her phone being taken to different things. So Cassie's mom says, okay, August 2012, we fly in, we're there to celebrate Cassie's birthday. She's turning 30. And they get into this incident where Cassie's phone is taken and Cassie's mom finds herself outside of Cassie's apartment on the street arguing with Diddy, and she's like, she's alleging that D-Rock was in the middle of them, like, and she said, I was yelling at him, I was screaming, and I was trying to hit him, and I was trying to get Cassie's phone back. She alleges that eventually Diddy gave her the phone back, but he left with Cassie's car. And the prosecutors are like, well, how do you know he left with Cassie's car? She said, because I watched the car drive off. I watched him drive off the car. And then the prosecutors asked, well, did you guys end up celebrating her birthday? And she was like, yeah, we did. And they were like, well, prosecutors are like, well, did you celebrate it with Sean Combs and Cassie? And her mom said no. And then they're done. They rest their case. Prosecution rests their case. So then the defense, Mark Agnifilio, Diddy's attorney, comes to the stand, and he's like, good afternoon, Miss Ventura. And she's like, hi, good afternoon. And he introduces himself, and he's like, I don't have any questions for you. And he sits down. This is the first time in this trial I have not seen the defense come back with a line of questioning after the prosecution goes for a witness. And that was it. And Cassie's mom was off the stand. And then this happened. That's her mom in the middle of all these people right there with the gray, trying to get out of court. Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
What up?
Hey, how are you?